Match week 2 of the UEFA Champions League is back in very quick time after the first round of matches happened, remember, just last week. And naturally, we're back here on Sports Today to tell you about which of the matches, or rather to talk about what all matches will be happening, which of these matches are likely to be more exciting than the other, and what are the things you can expect from each and every one of these matches. So without further ado, let's just quickly look into this week's fixtures. Now, quick note, last week what happened was that both days, so Tuesday and Wednesday, had 8 matches each. However, this time around, it's a little bit of a split schedule in the sense that the first day of action, which is of course Tuesday, has 7 matches, whereas Wednesday has 9 matches on schedule. So obviously, a bit of a weird thing to be done, but you know for a fact that UEFA does, of course, change around these match timings based on TV timings on the region and whatnot. So without further ado, let's just check out what are the interesting matches to happen. First off, we're starting off with a match that I'm expecting to be extremely one-sided, is Victoria Pilsen versus Inter Milan. Now, Inter, you remember, ended up starting their Champions League campaign with a loss to Bayern Munich, but things were much worse for Victoria Pilsen because for one, they're drawn in a group that features Bayern, Barca and Inter. For the other, they started off their Champions League campaign with an absolute humbling at the hands of Barcelona, and quite frankly, I don't expect things to get much better for them this time around, despite the fact that it's a home game. Inter looked pretty decent against Bayern, they just lacked a finishing touch. I don't think they're going to lack a finishing touch against a relatively weak Victoria Pilsen side. So obviously, Inter Milan are my clear favourites going into this match. I think the likes of Lautaro Martinez, Lukaku and the likes will trouble Victoria Pilsen far too much and far too often for them to probably think of getting a result. Of course, we know upsets can happen, but in this case, doesn't really seem too much on the cards. Now, the other match to look forward to, and this is one of the early kickoffs, remember it starts at 10:15 p.m. IST, is Sporting Club de Portugal against Tottenham Hotspur. Now, both of these teams actually started their campaigns with wins, and for Spurs, it would be a good thing to actually get an away win because remember their first match was a home match. If they can start off with 2 wins out of 2, nothing quite like it, but in their way will be a very resilient Sporting team that also started their campaign off with a victory and will in fact also not be an easy side to overcome. Generally speaking, you don't tend to look beyond, when it comes to Portuguese sides in the Champions League, you'll not look beyond a Benfica or a Porto. But Sporting in recent times, you remember they were league winners in 2020. They've improved quite a lot since, even though they haven't won the league, but they're a very challenging side, and at home I don't think this is going to be an easy match. So if I have to make a prediction, I'd say this is probably a draw. So obviously, Spurs fans, sorry about that, but I do think that if Spurs can get a win here, it'll be a very massive result, but I don't see it happening. Now, speaking on, of course, the feature matches, and this one is definitely up there with some of the biggest matches in Europe. Liverpool versus Ajax. Both have history when it comes to, of course, winning the Champions League, although Liverpool in recent times have a little more of that than Ajax. But again, regardless, both are very fine clubs in that regard. It's when you talk about European pedigree, yet both have actually made very contrasting starts to the Champions League campaigns. Liverpool, you remember, were humbled 4-1 by Napoli. Ajax, on the other hand, ended up registering a win. But of course, this match is going to be in Anfield, and we know for a fact that Champions League nights at Anfield, the sight to behold. I don't think Ajax are going to find it that easy, but I am anticipating a very good, open-ended, attacking, exciting match from both these teams. As for who wins, I'm going to give a very slight edge to Ajax, but again, with the cop end behind Liverpool on a European night, you can never really write off Jurgen Klopp's men. The other big match, by the way, which is of course happening on this night, is Bayern Munich versus FC Barcelona. Now again, these two teams have faced off against each other plenty of times in the history of the Champions League, and matches have been back and forth. But in recent times, you would remember that in the 2020 season, which of course they played, after the restart of football during after the COVID-19 lockdown. So in 2020, Barcelona had of course beaten Bayern. Bayern had beaten Barcelona 8-2 in that one-leg semi-final. Of course, the man who did most of the damage for Bayern Munich, Robert Lewandowski, is now in Barcelona. So interesting homecoming of sorts for him, just few months after he actually left Bayern in very acrimonious circumstances, joined Barcelona. Can he fire his new team to victory in the ground where he was so used to scoring plenty of goals? We'll see that, but I'm expecting this to be a firecracker of a match. And also don't forget, you have two relatively young managers going up against each other. Julian Nagelsmann will be at the dugout for Bayern. Xavi, the Barca legend, is going to be in the dugout for Barcelona. Again, I'm anticipating that this will be an absolute cracker of a game, and I can't wait to actually sit up and watch this one. Other matches in the night, you have Porto versus Club Brugge. Now again, this is not a match that's going to get a lot of heartbeats racing, let's be frank, but I'm expecting it to be a good competitive match between two sides who have made a decentish start to their campaign to this point. Whether or not that actually happens, again, that's something that time will tell, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is a match which does feature some interesting, football from both sides. Speaking of course, a match, then this match, by the way, is an interesting one because it features both teams who started their campaigns with a loss. Olympique de Marseille and, of course, Eintracht Frankfurt, who you remember made it to the Champions League thanks to them winning the Europa League last year. Now, both of these teams would need a win because you don't really want two straight losses to start your campaign. But, of course, you don't really know how each of these teams is going to react. Although, considering the fact the match is in Marseille, I'll give the home team, Olympique de Marseille, a very slight edge. But again, Eintracht Frankfurt are no mugs. Their form has been a little up and down, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad side. Where exactly do I see this match going? I think Olympique Marseille may just edge it, but wouldn't be surprised if Eintracht Frankfurt go ahead and prove this little prediction of mine wrong. Now, another very interesting match in this case comes from Bayer Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid. Atletico, too, you remember, they had to wait very late for that match to actually get concluded the last time around. But we note for a fact that Atletico under Diego Simeone, a very quality side, and they can be very hard to break down if they are the traveling team because they know how to operate a low block defense better than almost anyone in Europe, and they can do it with their eyes closed. So, Bayer Leverkusen, by the way, have had a very troubled start to the campaign. As I pointed out, they are, in fact, they've had a few losses to open their season. They're not anywhere close to the top 6 right about now, but no one can deny the fact that on their day, they too are a somewhat quality side. So let's see how this match goes. I think this match, by the way, has the potential to be a sleeper match of the night when it comes to, quality or, in fact, attacking, exciting options. Or in terms of just, pure footballing quality, I'm expecting a decent match between these two particular sides. And that's it from, of course, this particular edition of the Champions League preview. If you enjoy what it is that we do, let us know in the comments, or if you don't, you can let us know anyway. And thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tap the bell icon, all that stuff. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And last but not least, download the SportsTak app for all the latest coverage from not just the Champions League, but the world of football and the world of sports in general. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Reyes. Hope to see you all through the day, but bye-bye for now.